Okay, that was the trippiest episode of Doctor Who I think I've ever seen. I don't know about anybody else though, but I think this episode was the ultimate test for making or breaking this series, and it was so I don't even know. Can I officially say Series 11 sucked? Well, no, because the finale isn't out yet. But I had a dream last night that it was terrible, and if the pattern of good and bad episodes continues to the very end, then this might well be the end of me reviewing this show. All these rumours flying around about people leaving already and a New Year's special, I just don't care anymore. Besides, there are so many other TV shows on my radar, and I've been talking about Doctor Who for over 4 years now. Even my 10-month-long break from reviewing it this year lulled me into a state of dread for this series. This isn't to say that I won't ever talk about Doctor Who again, but I just have no incentive or desire to review the show in 2019, whether they produce a Series 12 or not. I think I'm going to pray for a miraculously convenient, budget-restrained party for a finale. But somehow, I don't think it's gonna happen. Why does this keep happening? I can't believe that the Doctor has been so ill-informed with regards to what year and location they're in each week. The bit with the Doctor eating soil was sort of funny, but I would say the TARDIS is definitely a missed opportunity with regards to stories this year, and it isn't really utilised as commonly as it should be. Maybe the producers were so unhappy with the cave-like set design that they rewrote the whole series just to prevent any more projectile vomiting. Weirdly though, the characters had absolutely no reason to be here. Like in Witchfinders, they just appear in this location in the opening shots. I liked in Kablam that their adventure was almost forced upon them. Hell, even Demons of the Punjab has a reason for our characters to go there. Later on, the Doctor explains that they were out walking and were worried something was up. So you decided to break in? They find a girl in a wardrobe and Graham has an almost funny gag about carrying a sandwich around. Then we immediately jump to the next scene where they're still talking about the bloody sandwich. It's revealed that this character is blind and the performer is blind also. I appreciate the BBC including performers who lack one of the 5 senses, as they also did this 3 years ago in the Under the Lake Before the Flood story. I needn't concern myself about the quality of her performance because, like in Under the Lake, the character's impairment was intertwined with the story. It was a tragic but excellent idea to have a brutal characterization of her father, who would rather be with his dead wife than his blind daughter, not even mentioning his crazy methods of keeping his daughter safe in the house. The only thing wrong with it though is he didn't even get a moment to justify himself or allow the audience to understand what he's going through. His performance was so forgettable and the script didn't really allow him to show regret or a realization of his selfishness. Now, something that really fails in this episode is on the showing not telling front. It starts really early on when Yaz makes a thing of Hannah's Arctic Monkeys t-shirt. We don't actually see the t-shirt until a later scene, so it could have been anything at this point. An album cover? A picture of the band? Also, apologies about this nitpick too, but I have to nag about that dead bird thing.
Did you just yell?
A row of dead birds ain't normal.
Ever been to a supermarket, Ryan? Graham then hangs out upstairs for a bit of recon, but finds a creepy mirror in the room behind him. The Doctor just comes along and zaps it with her sonic.
Can I just say, I love me Sonic.
Yeah, I love the colour too, love, but God, it makes your life far too easy. Then it got trippy. For about 5 seconds. Then we're back to the Doctor just being annoying again. Just say, we're gonna go through the portal and find out what's on the other side if you need to say anything. Not give your experience a rating out of 10 and scribble some completely obvious points on the wall. How could the Doctor do something so cruel to both Hannah and Ryan? She deliberately hides the motives of her team from a blind girl and just expects Ryan to sort things out whilst they're gone? I get it, it's punishment for assuming the father left like his did. But God, at least leave Hannah with a responsible adult like, Graham, or At the very least, Yaz? Okay, because I seem to be finding myself saying this every week, I'm going to give you guys a prime example of pointing out the obvious from this week's episode. The Doctor, Graham, and Yaz enter the tunnel connecting one universe to another. As they look around, Graham says there are some lights around that rock. And then in the very next shot, we see this bloody great red rock thing. This did not need to be said. Then a really stupid and pointless sequence unfolds with a guy called Ribbons of the Seven Stomachs. We don't find out why he's called that or what the Seven Stomachs are. In fact, it sounds a bit too Game of Thrones for my liking, but Graham tries to grab the light from him.
Lantern not yours.
Alright, I was only looking.
Evidently not, mate. The Doctor's bizarre behaviour is definitely having an effect on her companions.
You are a bad influence.
Then Graham says that Ribbons has a belt with some massive dead rats on. Again, why tell and not show? We sort of see one later, but it's used to show how mean and horrible the moths in the cave are. The only problem is, because we didn't see what they looked like before being devoured, how can we possibly tell that the rat didn't look like that in the first place?
Information is sadly so expensive.
Despite Ribbons having the complete upper hand in the situation, he just caves into the Doctor's line of questioning and says anti-zone. The setup for this character with the knives and his stinginess is just shrugged off because, well, that character's usefulness is now over, so let's kill him off!
Have they moved things around in here? Everything looks different.
And then things get a bit weird. Good weird though. That uncanny kind of weird. The weird where a Norwegian and his dead wife are living it up in the mirror world. The slightest way the camera has been brightened really gave this universe a look of its own, whilst retaining subtlety that warned me that something is definitely false about all of this. And then boom. Plot twist of the series. Grace, the character I missed and didn't even know it, shows up. Her inclusion was nice. Nice at reminding me how great the pilot was and how comparatively terrible the rest of this season has been. All that aside, it was very emotional to watch Graham painfully get his head around what he's witnessing right now. The pair's chemistry was there from the start and is still existent here. I was happy that the recurring motif of grief throughout the series had a good payoff in this episode. Even when the Doctor tries to separate the pair, it was emotional for me because the idea of Graham staying in this alternate universe saddened me. The one character I would end up missing, the one shining beacon of hope for this series, was about to be taken away from me, and then nothing. It was a shame there wasn't a big Twisted Family reunion here, to be honest. Ryan's mum making a first-time appearance would have been pretty cool, and even having any of the Doctor's dead friends and or family might have rubbed salt in the wound for the characters occupying this strange place. Then the Doctor starts harping on to Yaz about the Solitract. And Granny 5. I'm sorry, but you really didn't need to go out of your way to explain all this. Surely you would have just understood that you're in a conscious universe the moment you meet the talking frog. Unfortunately, these ideas that the Doctor brings to the table are going to alienate layman audience members like yours truly, and by making it so needlessly complicated is once again done by excessive amounts of dialogue. Most of the episodes in this series have just been Jodie talking to somebody or herself saying, this is wrong, here's how to fix it, there I fixed it. The end. The Doctor's not so excellent leadership comes into play once again as we see Ryan just being terrible with Hannah. When they get into the cave, the moths start, getting hungry, I guess. And in turn, Ryan and Hannah cling to the side with that stupid red balloon. The light is shining on the horde of moths flying past them, so they're not attracted to the light. Then the world starts crumbling around them and they realise that the way out is to upset the fake people to show our universe doesn't want anything to do with this other universe. Yeah, confusing, I know, right? I liked how Hannah was the only one able to truly identify the real from the fake due to her heightened senses. It was also brutal watching Graham come to this realisation too. It was a shame the fake people had to use the same weird force push thing we saw the witches use in last week's episode. Budget again, I know, I'll stop eventually, removing any attempts to make them intimidating in any way at all. However, the Doctor has an oddly effective monologue where she persuades Eric's wife to sling her husband back into reality. And then Wow. This is the kind of Doctor Who I like. For once, the CG looked decent, and the absurdity of Grace's voice behind it didn't upset me. This is how you show an idea, as it established this universe's form is endless, with enough simplification so that the audience can understand what's happening. Even the Doctor admits that describing a universe with words doesn't do it justice, which was also ironic. Her hands going all faded and trippy was cool as well, and the Doctor makes a really awesome case for being an individual, and that there's enough company in one universe alone. It's like the Doctor was saying, I don't make the rules, dude, but we gotta stick to them, otherwise all hell's gonna break loose. The story kinda reminded me of the Red Dwarf episode Legion, with these themes of temptation and paradise, and a Tempter character that becomes overwhelmed by the flood of conscious entities it interacts with, creating a nightmare, or in this episode's case, a dream. Fortunately, the Doctor and the gang escape through the tunnel of zero danger, destroying the mirror in the process. Then the Norwegians decide to move back to Oslo, and that's enough for the characters to hurry along to their next adventure. Come on, Graham, it's time to go!
Give them a moment, for pity's sake!
Fortunately, Ryan's in no hurry though, and decides to call Graham Grandad to make him happy. It's sweet and all, but where was the fist bump? This was the perfect opportunity, goddammit. If it's not in the finale, this review series will end. Chibnall, make it happen. So, did it suck? Well, this was certainly one of the more unique episodes, I'll give it that. Struck down by some of the usual problems that have riddled this series. The thing is, I feel the same way now as I did when I reviewed the episode Smile last year. I really liked it at first, but upon closer examination, it's not the critical masterpiece I initially thought it was. Don't get me wrong, the ideas, the visuals, Graham and Grace's inclusion all built up a stable story, but the unethical behaviour of our protagonists, the constant dialogue bombardment accompanied by obvious markers of budgetary constraints makes it painful to watch at times. I give It Takes You Away a 5 out of 10. Hello, you mystical creature. I have an important announcement to make. Before Christmas Eve, I'm going to make a big video, and you have the chance to vote on which video gets made. If you become a supporter on Patreon today, a poll will be made available to you. Whichever of the 3 choices gets the most votes will be made. So sign up today, and who knows, maybe I'll poll you all again after Black Mirror Series 5 is all wrapped up. I'll see you guys next week for the finale. Love you all, have a great day, and join the Discord server because it's fab. Bye!